doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
We some lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let them boys get loose. It's a new day, Honolulu Blue got the boys on a crusade. Campbell throwing dukes, got golf at the Wings game. Hear his name, replay and replay and replay. Got him off the leash every Sunday. David Montgomery, Gibbs on the runway. Take a shot at Jameson and stumble out the hallway. Running in the hutch any day, that's a bad day. They don't wanna bring us up, keep us off the airways. America's team, sick of dealing with these cowboys. Keep it in your hostess, you've been cheating like an off day.
Welcome to the show, the one ass cheek and three toes. It is revenge week, y'all. How y'all feeling?
Good.
Feeling good, man.
Good.
What's going on?
Yeah. Y'all had a good Christmas and everything?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yeah, I'm
Good
still
deal.
getting Christmas gifts in the mail, so
Dang, you must have some good people.
That's that new wave Christmas.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, the
That's
Christmas
an Amazon
mail.
Christmas.
It's in the mail.
Amazon Christmas.
Well,
Man, let me-
for people that delivered on Christmas, you're welcome.
yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate
All right.
everything.
No worries. All right, y'all. Well, it's been an interesting week since we've been on the show. We beat the Bears. Surprise, surprise. We knew that was going to happen.
Oh,
And, the Eagles lost.
mhm.
That was surprising. And then the Lions pretty much had a chance to wrap up the one seed. If the Whackers would have beat the Vikings, we probably all knew that wasn't going to happen because they're the Whackers. And the Vikings are just a better team, and they showed it. They showed it yesterday. Jordan Love is what we think he is. He's a mid quarterback. He's not anything special. Struggled mightily against a defense that Goff shredded when he played against. So here we are. We have the 49ers tonight, the revenge game from last year. We don't want to go backwards, but we'll just mention, unless you lived under a rock, the Lions lost to the Niners last year in the NFC Championship, up 21 points, lost the game, and the Niners went on to the Super Bowl and then lost to the Chiefs. So, first off, real quick thoughts on the Bears game. Don't want to talk too much about it because it really doesn't matter, but just quick thoughts. Anything y'all liked? Anything y'all caught your eye? Surprised you? Made you laugh? Go.
You mind, B?
Either way.
There's really nothing that I can say about
Yeah,
that.
it's not. Yeah, I mean, the trick play was cool. The stumble bum was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, a bunch of hating people came out about that one. But
did y'all watch the sights and sounds of it when Ben said, like, "Oh my God," when he's watching it at the same time it was happening? Oh man, he had been nervous because, like, oh please, Goff, don't actually.
I think the thing that was cool to me is the wide receivers coach run down the field when JMO.
Oh,
JMO
yeah.
got that. That was kind of funny, but it was kind of cool at the same time because they were getting on JMO about that. They flashed to a picture where he was chewing his ass out that one time when he got that penalty on the sideline, and he was chewing his ass out about that. And then to the point where he's running down the field after JMO gets loose and gets that long touchdown, an 82-yard touchdown. So that was pretty cool. That was a cool moment. That's like a maturation moment for JMO.
Anybody says that Goff can't throw a deep ball, watch that play. That was a 70-yard touchdown.
That was actually a pretty good pass by Goff. I mean, he threw it out in the front. And let me tell you something. People can say you can say that all you want about him. He still can't throw that good long passes. That was actually one of the best long passes I've seen him throw since he's been here.
Yeah, I think
that's
saying a lot.
And I think we've been prisoners of the moment because with Stafford, that's all he did was throw deep balls, and they're beautiful. When you had Calvin, it made it look effortless. Goff is not a guy who's going to sling it downfield all the time,
right.
But when he has the opportunity to sling one, he can, and it was perfect because this is kind of what we expected Goff and JMO to be. is that threat where he's got the speed to run past the defense, and all Goff's got to do is get the protection and put it on the money. And that's exactly what he did.
They just got to be on the same page. And the whole things with JMO, it only took them like, what they say, 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
I was like, well, that's because half the time JMO wasn't there, due to suspension or injury.
Well, you also got to remember too, he's got great chemistry with Almaro St. Brown, man.
Yeah. Well, I know that too, but because of the fact of the situations JMO's been in, that's just going to happen. That's just natural. So now that they're getting that connection, I would expect to see, especially starting next year, I expect to see a lot more Goff to JMO connection.
And I think also too, a change in the offense. They didn't, like, to your point, they didn't really have JMO in a full season last year, but also too, when they did have him, they didn't utilize him as a lot, and I think that coming into this year, Ben, the point of emphasis for Ben was to take more shots downfield, because that opens up the running game tremendously if they have to guard deep and put their safeties back. And that this year with Goff, he's not afraid to air it out, and make the defense work for it, which is I think is going to be huge going forward against this game and the Vikings and any other team we play. When you watch that Green Bay and Minnesota game, the biggest problem with Green Bay is they did not take shots downfield. They made Brian Flores' defense so easy for them to guard the players because they kept everything within 8 yards. And
they couldn't protect Jordan Love. I mean, Jordan Love was getting killed out there. They were just like blitzing and pressuring him like crazy.
But that's because they didn't take shots downfield. They usually Love does that, and when they do, that's when it opens up the middle of the field, and the middle of the field was nowhere to be found because everybody was playing the middle of the field because nobody was scared of the receivers going deep on them.
Well, I think the thing about Green Bay is at the beginning of the game they weren't doing that, and they fell behind, and they had no choice but to throw it deep, and that's when they started catching up. And another thing too, Flores defense, when they got a lead, sucks. They always play that shell zone coverage, which is like,
it's like
prevent defense, which is dumb. And I don't know why he hasn't come out of that yet. I said Minnesota should win the game, but Green Bay is going to make it interesting because Minnesota is going to give up. They did the same exact thing they did to Green Bay the first time. They scored all them points early and got a lead, and then Green Bay started coming back on them because they were playing that shell zone defense, and that's and he keeps doing it, and he continues to keep doing that. I said, you can't do that to people. You can't do that to some teams. You can't go in the playoffs with that mentality. If you think you're going to go in the playoffs doing that, you're going to be
it's called playing to lose, or playing not to lose, because the reality is when you play like that, you're hoping that the other team makes mistakes and you'll capitalize on them. And that's really, not to get ahead of ourselves, but that really was what the key for the Vikings is like mistakes. They pride themselves on mistakes. If you don't turn the ball over against them, you might win more likely because they're not a good defense overall. They struggle giving up. They're like us. They give up the pass a lot. The run game, Green Bay ran all over them for the most part, just Josh Jacobs, that fumble was huge because Green Bay had all the momentum, but you can't turn over the ball with them.
There was a few things in that game really quick. A few things in that game that won the offsides, that field goal, which essentially set up Minnesota to kick another field goal.
It was huge. That was huge.
There was a few things right there that was.
And LaFleur going for it on fourth down.
Yeah,
because that turned over 3 points on the other side.
Yeah, one thing I really fought Green Bay for is they played conservative for some odd reason. I mean, I know you got a good running back, but when you have a good running game and good receivers, I'm not going to say they have great receivers, but good receivers, you use a play action. You want to use that strength because they fear Josh Jacobs. That give you kind of a way to just kind of bomb it down the field to one of your best receivers. He didn't get Dobbs in the game until later, and they miss as much as this guy gets a lot of shit for, they miss Christian Watson. Oh yeah,
because Christian Watson is your deep threat that can get separation, and Jordan Love loves to hit him downfield. And without him, I mean, dude, where's Reed been? Reed has been on a milk carton and might as well. Like, the guy has just been shut down. He was shut down by us. He was shut down by the Vikings. Like, he has not been himself lately. And I think it's because defenses are really starting to hone in on him, give him the Amon-Ra Brown effect. And, you know, this is the life of the NFL. If you're good, they're gonna try to stop you. It's just the reality.
100%.
Well, let's not say he's good, because good receivers find a way to get the ball. They were shutting down. You remember in the game, they were shutting down Jefferson pretty much through the first half.
They were,
and they were going to, like, Addison was getting a lot of catches. Nixon was getting a lot. Naylor was getting a lot of catches.
Was killing them. Yeah.
As soon as that started happening, but what happened to Patrick Peterson in the end? He started. I mean, not Patrick Peterson. Jefferson in the end. He got 8 catches for 92 yards, led all the receivers. Come on, man.
Yeah,
that's a receiver. That's a good receiver. Find a way to get open.
Oh yeah,
Reed is not a good receiver. I think we had this conversation before. I think we said that Dobbs is a better receiver than Reed.
Yeah,
because he can get open.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Dobbs in the offseason, because he's up for a contract. And Watson, you know, they got to figure out with Watson, if he can't stay healthy, what's the deal with him? So yeah, I mean, anyways. Let's circle back to the Bears game real quick. We'll talk about one thing that I really liked was the usage of Ife Melifonwu. I thought Ife came out. He was rusty early, missed a couple of plays, but man, he made up for it. You could tell he just got better as the game went, got a sack, was a force inside as blitzing. And man, with Ife coming back, that put Meek Robinson at the 2 along with TA, and that put Branch at the slot. And so basically Ife and Kirby were kind of in the backfield. So again, just another piece that we got back that hopefully stays healthy is going to give us more flexibility with the secondary. So I was really happy to see that, you know, and it's a good time to get him back.
Yeah. Great time.
All right.
That's
all right. Yeah, we'll wrap up the Bears. So we beat the Bears. We swept them. Hey, what have I said, guys? 15-2, sweep the North. We're 1 game away.
You did.
You did. Just a precursor before we jump to the Niners, because I know everybody's not even care about the Niners game. We're talking about the Vikings, because that's the big one. It's going to be on Sunday night. It's going to be a huge game. But, you know, let's get back to the Niners, because we remember what happened last year. Everybody that's a Lions fan remembers what happened last year. My heart was torn out. Literally, I was 30 minutes away from going, or we're going to the Super Bowl. Just emotions everywhere, and it didn't happen. So this is a revenge game. I don't care what any player says. It's not just another game. It's revenge. We want it bad.
Yep.
And we're gonna beat up on a team that's probably suffered as much injuries as we have on the other side.
Probably more if you think about it.
Yeah, in more key places for sure. So let's go into the injury report since we kind of talk about injuries. Looks like Montgomery's out.
Yep.
Germ
Khalif
was
is out.
activated. Khalif's out. Yeah. Khalif should be back next week. I think
well as Alex Anzalone should be back too.
Alex should be back next week?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Woo! Let's go. Man, I was hoping about it. I was hoping to hear that about Alex. Hell yeah, that's going to be huge. All right, great. So Jerem was activated to the active roster, so he's up. He's good to go. They elevated Justin Jefferson. Not Justin Jefferson, I'm sorry. Jamar Jefferson.
Don't even
yeah. And who's the other guy? Who's the other guy that got elevated? It was Chris Smith, D-line.
Yeah. Defensive
All
line.
right. So for the most part, we're pretty healthy going to this game. You know, that's great. And God willing, we stay healthy this game because the big one's next week. I think B said it yesterday. Aaron Jones has an injury right now, right? He's dealing with. So
yeah, he's dealing with it. Yeah.
I think he'll play because this game's for everything on the table, but he's not going to be 100%, and it's going to be limited. So we got to hope that the Lions stay healthy and just are as healthy as we can get into that game. That's all we can hope for. I would hope to get up early and really put it to them early. And then hopefully Dan slowly but surely starts pulling some of the guys that maybe are the older guys out, and we're putting some other ones like Simo or Awashika in the game, give some of our O-line some rest but other than that, we're gonna be balls out, man. We're gonna take it to them.
I have a question for y'all. Y'all
What's
really
up?
think revenge game right here?
Yeah. I had the circle on my
I think
calendar, man.
I think it's a downplayed revenge game because San Francisco is no longer in the playoffs, and they got a lot of injuries. So there's no. I mean, it's just a regular season game, and I think they're going to send a message. I think this is not a message for San Francisco. Basically, I think this is more of a message to the league that the Lions are going to be stating with San Francisco. So that's okay. They can be out. We're going to still murder them, and then we're going to come home and beat the hell out of Minnesota. Which
I think this is a message to Minnesota. If we come in and beat the crap out of the Niners, and hopefully, I'm not going to say my prediction yet, but put up a good amount of points on them. It's a message to Minnesota that you better bring your A game, because
100%.
we ain't losing our house when everything's on the line. Like,
100%.
Simple as that.
I don't. A lot of people were talking about it today. Like at my job, they were asking, "Do you think it's a revenge game?" I'm like, "No, it's not really a revenge game because, in a way, it really doesn't affect either team. Like the Niners are already eliminated from the playoffs. 1, 2, the Lions can lock up the number 1 seed in the division with the victory next week." Right. So, and it's also like, think about it this way. A lot of people are still upset at the NFC Championship game. I am too. But that's like confronting your high school bully only to come to find out he's in a permanent body cast, like beating up on the Niners today, right? Like
that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
As much as you want to whoop their ass and prove something, I think it's like B said, it's going to be more so of a message to the Vikings.
It's a low key revenge game, because I think that no matter what, they want to get a win in Santa Clara. They want to be undefeated on the road going into the playoffs. In case we have to play on the road, they want to keep that confidence that, hey, we can beat you anywhere. We'll beat you in the landfill. We'll beat you in the ocean. We'll beat you anywhere. Doesn't matter. So
we don't care.
It's all.
I think more of the
exactly.
I think the revenge game would have happened if San Francisco would have made the playoffs, and we have to play them. Whether they would probably more likely come to us. They'd probably more likely come to us if it was that if they made the playoffs. They would have to come to Detroit, and then we would hand them the ass whooping that they deserve to get, basically, when they should have got it the first time. So
think about this: how crazy is it that whoever loses next week, whether it's the Lions or the Vikings, which is going to be the Vikings, that will be the first 14-3 team in history to be the 5th seed.
They'll have to go on the road and play against a team that probably had maybe like 8 or 9 wins.
Isn't that crazy?
And if it's Minnesota, in the 5th seed, and the Rams, and they have to play the Rams. Remember, Minnesota lost to the Rams this season. Yep. That was their second game after they lost to us, and they lost. So it's amazing that the Rams have won their division. They're in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. You got to look at 2 teams in the NFC that basically have gotten goats of the better teams. Like the Rams beat Minnesota, and they also beat Buffalo. Think about that. Tampa Bay beat Philadelphia, and they beat Detroit.
Yep.
So those are, you got to look at those teams. Those are the teams that, quote unquote, are worry teams to me. Other than that, Philadelphia can kick rocks. I don't care about Philadelphia. They might get beat if Washington plays them again.
That's gonna be an easy game for Washington, man. Washington had that game in their house.
Yeah,
they just could not stop Saquon. Well, that too. Yeah. Inactives came out, so let's talk about those real quick. David's out. We figured that was going to happen. Teddy is out. Giovanni's out. Awashika's out.
Wow.
Colby's out. Jonah's out. Jonah Williams and Broderick Martin. Do you think that we see Monty? Any hope that Monty might start his clock next week? Or you think he's gonna?
I think he's gonna. I think. Well, they got. It's 4 weeks. So basically, he's gonna start his clock probably right after the final game of the season. Because when we win the number 1 seed, we got that week off.
Yep.
Yeah, and we basically got 2 weeks off if you think about it, because they got played the wild card, the first wild card game, and then it goes to the divisional game the next week, and that's the game.
This whole idea about sitting your starters. This whole idea about sitting your starters, even if the Whackers would have took care of business, is insane, because I think the Chiefs are sitting their starters. They're going to be out 25 days. That's a lot to be.
That's a lot of time to be.
That's going to come back and bite them in the ass.
Is.
I'm saying.
Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they play at least some football, because that's a long layover. Layover.
You know what I think is an adequate amount of time? It's 10 days, right? You get a whole week off, and then maybe a couple extra days.
Just a full week is going to be awesome to have it.
5 days. That's really taking a month off of work and then expecting to come back rolling like you were.
Well, I mean, they weren't playing that well in the first place. They've been struggling themselves. So you would think that you want to have those guys sharp as you can going into, because I tell you what, man, our road is going to be tough to Super Bowl. Kansas City is going to have to go through Baltimore and Buffalo possibly to get there. Those 2 teams I do not want to play.
Well, I'll tell you what. Buffalo, I think we got Buffalo at their peak, because after they played us, they played New England, and Josh Allen didn't play as well. I mean, he played okay. And the Jets, they were I don't want to say the word pedestrian. I don't say that because that word gets taken out of context too much. I think he's just been playing at his level, Josh Allen. The team that you don't want to be in the playoffs at this moment for the AFC is Cincinnati. If Cincinnati gets everything going their way, I'm telling you, Joe Burrow is going to light somebody's ass up. They might not be able to stop anybody, but he's going to make sure it's going to be a shootout every playoff game.
The kryptonite for the Chiefs is Joe Burrow. There's no doubt. And
I think the kryptonite for half the AFC is Joe Burrow.
Yeah. You don't want to get Joe Burrow out there for sure. Just like I don't want to see Stafford against us. That's just me. I know what y'all say, but I don't want to. I don't want to see.
I'd rather see Stafford instead of Burrow. I'm glad Burrow doesn't play in our.
Well, that's for sure. I agree with you on that. But I'm just saying, at the NFC, the one team I don't want to see is the Rams. I
will come out and finally admit that right now. I think that it'd be kind of not tipped in the Lions' favor if they do play the Rams. I think that they win, but it'd be a harder fought victory than we really imagined, because we beat them the last 2 games. They came here, we beat them already twice, and they're out for revenge too.
Yeah, and their team's gotten better. Their team's gotten healthier, and that defense is going to be reckoned with for years to come. Man. They got a lot of good young pieces: Verse, Fisk, Young. I don't know the other guy's name.
They gave Kyler Murray Hill the other day.
Turner. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I saw it.
I'm gonna put it to you this way: I don't want I need the Lions to get that number 1 seed.
Yeah.
I don't care what team they play in the first round; it doesn't make a difference. As a wild card round, they're not at that. To me, they're not at playoff strength yet with that defense. They can get by in a regular season and get by in a couple of big games like the one that they're going to have to play against Minnesota. But during the playoffs are a whole different animal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you want to make sure that you have all your players good to go for that. And
I'm going to play
having Monty in there. Monty is an integral part. People don't understand that of this offense too, because he's the guy that rams the ball up your ass. I agree. I was thinking Jameer's doing a good job,
but he's not Monty.
But he's not Monty, and Monty can take that edge off.
And I'm glad you said that, because I think the biggest miss we're going to have against the Vikings is not having Monty, because now you're going to have Gibbs and possibly Jefferson or somebody else. You worry about ball security, especially with anybody that's not named Gibbs. Gibbs has been really well with the ball. He had that one fuck up, but he has been really good with the ball. But I don't trust those other running backs against the way that Minnesota is forcing the ball out. So that really worries me. So hopefully they'll just run Gibbs, but we'll see. All right. Going back to today's game, and I know it's kind of hard not to talk about the Vikings because, I mean, that's the big one that it's coming up. But we got to get to the Niners first. Let's talk about their injury report real quick. Travarius Ward is out, their cornerback. Trent Williams is out, their left tackle. I think they're out 2 of the other linemen, so they're out about 3 linemen.
They're out. They're out 2 left tackles. Jalen is out. Trent Williams is out. 2 of their starting guards are out. So they only got like two guys that are starting on an offensive line.
McClinchy, right? McClinchy's one, I think, right? Yeah, McClinchy. They still have.
Let me see who they got here. Aaron Bakes is one of the guards to start. He's out. Jalen Moore is out. He's the backup to Trent Williams.
Okay.
Ben Barch and John Feliciano is out. Spencer Buford is out. Colton McKivitz is out. Jake Brendel at right guard. Dominic Pooney is the one that's filling in for him. So protection for Brock Purdy, and I know that the Lions are really kind of not the greatest at the sack part because they don't have Aiden Hutchinson in there. But with this kind of D-line, you got to have a lot of good pressures on Purdy. Purdy, people say pressures aren't sacks, but pressures do matter in a game. If you can pressure somebody like Purdy and making mistakes, that's all you need. And like I said, I need the standouts to come out tonight in the defense. I need
this D-line just a step. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I need Kirby to get out there and get a pick for me. I need Brian Branch. He's going to be in the nickel spot because if he's playing the other safety position, Amik is going to be out there. He's probably going to be out there on Jawan Jennings. So you got to be real careful with Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings is a pretty good receiver.
He's a tall guy, yeah.
And I think Arnold will be on. I think Arnold will be on Debo. So that's not Debo's self-destructing. So I'm not worried about that.
Jack versus Kittle. That's gonna be fun to watch.
That's gonna be nice. I'm gonna like that matchup. But
2 Iowa boys going at it. You think they've seen each other play?
Yeah.
You know something I'm really wanting to see. I want to see how they call their offensive plays because they can't do a lot of the pre-motion snap like they did before because half their offense is injured. And when they did that was kind of taking a lot of heat off of both Mason and McCaffrey. And Debo Samuel, he's just not the same. He's just not the same player as he once was. I'm not going to discount him and say he's not going to be effective, but recently he hasn't lived up to his standards. So I really want to see calling they have today.
When you have Debo and you have guys like Ayuk and you have guys like Christian McCaffrey and Kittle, you can run those kind of schemes or eye candy that you want to throw out there. But nobody's fearing outside of Debo and Kittle. The Lions aren't fearing those other dudes. They're just hoping they just don't let them get off, So the Niners are pretty banged up. I mean, surprise, surprise, we knew that already. I really need to see this D-line step up, man. It's time. Watching that Whackers and Minnesota game, the one thing that was pretty clear, you've got to get pressure on Darnold. If you do not pressure Darnold, he will throw all day to Jefferson or Addison. But you've got to get him on his ass because the Whackers got close a couple of times, but close ain't going to do it. You've got to get him on the ground. You got to get sacks. And I need to see this D-line starting tonight. I need to see this D-line wake up. I know we're banged up. I know we're out 2 starters, but
first of all, let's take one game at a time. I'm not going to worry about the Vikings till we need to worry about the Vikings. They need to worry about San Francisco right now. They need to get this win.
That's what I'm saying.
So we can take back first place in the NFC because these Viking fans are we're in first place. You
remember how much they talked?
You didn't play the game yet, dummy.
But what I'm saying is this has to be the get off point for the D line. You got a weak ass line that you're about to play against. We need sacks. We need sacks to get into the next game and build momentum and build confidence. Right now, that is the weakest part of our defense is right now our D line. We have to get better play from our D line.
I agree.
Preferably sacks. All right, so let's jump into the keys. What are y'all's keys for this game? What stands out to you?
Get up early, Do not let them get any confidence thinking that they can hang around. Get up early in the game, run the ball effectively, and get off the field on third downs.
Okay.
Gave you 3.
I mean, that's been the recipe for the Lions' victories, for sure.
Yes, sir. And I really want to put emphasis on getting off the field on third down because, you know, I hate seeing extended drives. I hate seeing, you know, what could happen after you could have gotten off the field, a quick 3 and out, but you let them extend. Just don't let them hang around. Don't give them any type of confidence. You want to let them know we are the number 1 seed in the NFC. Your time has passed, and this is our game. We're going to come in, blow the doors off of you, and then we're going to head back to Detroit.
Exactly. Well said. What do you think, B?
They just need to play their game. They need to play. I think this is going to be the same type of game that they played against Chicago. They're going to. I mean, the offensive line for San Francisco is about as good as Chicago's offensive line is. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Shit, Chicago might be better,
and they still got a couple of sacks on Caleb in that game. So, yeah. I mean, they should be able to get enough pressure to upset Purdy and you know whatever he's trying to do. So that's all I'm looking for. I'm also looking for the defense, the back end of the defense, to play a little tighter on these receivers. The receivers are, like I said, Juwan Jennings, to have him be like the main weapon on there, because we don't, Debo's kind of not like in his focal point. I mean, Kittle is Kittle, and he can get shut down. You'll remember something. They've switched around the defensive backfield. Got Brian Branch in the nickel now, and that's what they need. Obviously because of the play. Hopefully they can get Mosley in there. I would love to see Mosley in some coverage.
Yes, his old team too. That would be great. Yeah. I agree. Yeah,
go out there and cover Debo for a couple of minutes. You know what I'm saying? See what you got. They're saying he has a confidence problem, which I don't understand how you have a confidence problem when you ain't been playing for 2 years. But anyway,
you can't have a confidence problem if you're a quarterback. That's for damn sure. And that's the one spot that you can't be confident in.
And if he has a confidence, and I'm trying to figure out how you even have a confidence problem when you ain't been out in the field doing your job. If you're on punt returns and special teams, that's not what you normally do. You're a cornerback, a top leader cornerback. You're supposed to be out there defending 1s and 2s, not out there trying to tackle a fucking kick returner. That's not your job. Okay, especially for him.
Is it disappointing, or is it more of, you think, confidence that they played Meek at the 2 spot when Meek's been a 2 cornerback? He's played the outside. Dan said that in his presser. It's the nickel he's never really played. That was something new to him, or is it more of a disappointment or indictment in the fact that Vildor and Mosley can't see the field?
Well, Amik, I don't know what he means by Amik has never played a nickel. That's BS, because he played at the rate when he was playing with the Vegas. He was basically a nickel.
They said he was outside. I mean, you can check the presser.
He played some games that were outside. They don't always get the shit right either. I know for a fact. I've watched Amik when he played with the Raiders. He was either corner.
The fact that
he had to play out in the corner. He had to play out at cornerback too, because their cornerback that was slated to play the second got hurt. That's why he had to play the CB2 position. But like I said, there he wasn't as effective as he has been here, which I was kind of surprised to see. As far
as the last game, he started the whole game.
Yeah, I know.
Vildor and Mosley did not even see the field unless it was special teams. Meek took all the reps and snaps.
Vildor needs to be a 5th cornerback. That's what his job.
Have a cornerback yet.
What we do? That's Vildor. He's not supposed to be on the field.
No.
So our 4th cornerback.
Mosley needs to be out there though.
Yeah.
And this is just the typical Lions. Not they want to say all kinds of stuff, but it's typical Lions just kind of patting him on his ass, and saying, "Oh, we'll just take our time with him." No, you got to throw a cornerback out there into the wolves to see how he's going to be. I think for this
game, I agree with you, because he's playing his old team first and foremost, and he's healthy as he's been. But it was surprising that they did not play him against Chicago at all. Like, Meek took all the reps, literally. And that was more of the indictment of either Mosley just isn't ready or is not getting it or what, or they don't feel confident, or maybe they have all the confidence in the world in Meek. I don't know. I mean, Meek's been playing awesome this year. Been a great addition. Plays bigger than his size. Like he's a pit bull, but I don't know. That's an interesting one for me. Like nobody really pressed Dan on that one. Really, they just said that Meek's played outside. And B, I'm not saying you're wrong. So if he's played nickel too, great. That's awesome. But it seemed like Dan said he's very confident with Meek playing the outside. It was nickel that was more, maybe he didn't play a lot of nickel. That's maybe the thing it was. And this year he was primarily supposed to be the nickel, but then the injuries, CD went out and that kind of screwed up everything.
And that's basically what happened when he was on the Raiders. He was a nickel corner,
right.
But the cornerback that was slated to be CB2 got injured. I think somewhere in the sixth game in the fourth or fifth game of the season, and that's when he started playing CB2. But if you watch a lot of his highlights, and you watched a lot of his games, he was slated at nickel. He did the same things that Brian Branch did. That's why I say he's an older version of Brian Branch. He gets to the ball carrier. You can't get to the ball carrier all the time as a cornerback too. Sometimes you got to block around him, which basically is the wide receiver that you're covering. So at a nickel, you can come off that receiver that's inside in the slot when you have one of those swing passes or the running back is coming on a sweep there, you can get him. And that's what I see a lot of those plays too. So, I mean, he probably does have both, he's been in the league for what, 3-4 years.
I'm pretty sure he's played nickel. It's just the way Dan made it seem like maybe he wasn't a full starter at the nickel position, which is different. You can play nickel in some pinches, but being a full starter almost all year at that one spot, that's different, because then you've got to hold it down the whole way. And nickel position is one of the toughest positions to guard because that's where you get the most speediest and honestly some of the best receivers going through that little spot. Let's talk about Kittle, because Kittle to me is where it starts and ends. If you can contain Kittle and keep him out of the way he plays, which is crazy and reckless, but he's a stud. I think he shut down the San Francisco offense, in my opinion. It all starts with Kittle. If you shut him down, I trust Meek and TA to hold down their spots. They did a good job against Chicago with those receivers they had to play against. Mm-hmm. Do you all agree with Kittle?
In a sense, I do, but also they got Juszczyk. I think Juszczyk is another good time.
Yeah, Juszczyk's an X factor for sure. I agree.
But I do think that when we are talking about more of a dynamic player, obviously we'd say it's Kittle. But, like I say, I think Debo still got some hands. I don't think he's going to be the run threat that he was before. But, we just really have to see how it plays out, man, because for some odd reason, it's just not clicking. They still got some pieces over there, but it's just not clicking for some reason.
Right.
I'm hoping that they shut Kittle down because that's Brock Purdy's safety blanket right there. Mm-hmm. That if I'm ever in trouble and I need a first down, I can always go to my good old reliable.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And a lot of his yards have come after the catch. It hasn't been so that tells me that people aren't tackling him. Yeah. So you've got to bring his ass down. Like when he catches the ball, it can't be no yak after that because that's where he gets a lot of his yards is yak.
That's the NFL. I want to do everything but tackle people.
I want to see Jack Campbell. I really want to see Jack Campbell give Kittle hell. Like, this is going to prove right here, you're going up against the best tight end you faced all season. Prove that you're going to be physical with these guys. Let TJ Hawkinson know next week that you're going to be covered by me.
Get it right. He's always a cock, in my opinion.
Be physical. Knock the ball out of his hand.
Do you see we talked about Iffy. Do you see them AG probably maybe have an Iffy guard Kittle at times because he's kind of like a bigger nickel safety cornerback kind of guy?
I'm sure whatever defense that they line up against, it depends on what offensive look they get. It might bring him up. I wouldn't be surprised if they, speaking of Iffy, if they have him blitz a few times from different areas,
I would. Absolutely.
That's one good thing about Iffy. He's one of those guys that are real sneaky, sneaky fast, and you might see him on one side, and then in a heat of the game that you're playing, you don't see him coming from the other side because he done switched over there. Him and Kirby done switched the safety position, so he's coming from this side, and then you got Brian Branch coming from the nickel.
Yeah.
So
if he's another chess piece that you can put anywhere you want, you can put him on the line, you can put him in the back, you can put him in the linebacker. You can utilize him in so many ways. Like getting him back was huge because that allows more flexibility for Brian Branch to roam, and coming down the stretch, you're going to be playing a lot of good receivers. Having Branch at that somebody you trust more in the nickel spot, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And he can still make his plays.
There's two things too. You got to realize too. You forget about Jamal Adams. I'm still waiting for them to.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on him. But I think the iffy equation took a little bit out of Jamal Adams, but maybe they're still working him in. He came from a whole new system.
They were trying Jamal Adams at linebacker too. Got to remember that Jamal Adams is a kind of a big guy. In that position, so he can play that linebacker spot. He can come in here and spell a couple people if that's the case. We need to see Zadarius have a good game too.
Yes.
He needs
I'm glad you said that B, because I think the biggest disappointment so far on the D line lately has been Zadarius, because the fact is he just hasn't been able to get sacks. He's gotten pressures, but the thing is that it needs to come with sacks. Like, I've seen too many misses, and with Zadarius, he's got to be our linchpin going forward, man. Like, with no Aiden till the Super Bowl, Zadarius has got to hold down the fort. He's got this game, next game. What's up?
Pascal, don't let Pascal off the hook either.
I'm not. But Pascal's not the athlete that Zadarius is. Pascal, we have to understand that Pascal is a set the edge kind of guy.
I get it, but something, he needs to make a bigger impact as well. I think he's really well at running the ball. I mean, not running the ball, but stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done a good job at that as well.
Yeah.
But I also want to see him do a little bit more as well. Somebody needs to step up his own.
Sure, I mean, they all have to step up. Mohamed played well the last game. I've been very impressed with Mohamed.
Step up. That's what I was saying the other day. Remember, we were talking about some things we were kind of expecting. When I said looking at a 6-sack game, I'm not saying like, the defensive line. I'm talking about really just as a whole. Like, I want to see I want to see.
It just depends on who you play.
Bill.
I mean,
but still, I mean, that's even far-fetched, even with everybody on there. I'd rather see them get pressures and make Purdy do stupid shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Throw the ball and run right. And that's why I said I want Kirby to be out there with his eyes out there, so he can pick the ball off.
I thought the Lions did a great job on Caleb Williams. I think they did a great job containing him. I think he had one big run the whole game for the most part. And this is a guy who's very electrifying if he gets out of the pocket. They did a great job containing him. Brock Purdy is not Caleb Williams. He can wiggle a little bit, but if you close that pocket, he's not a big guy either. So our D-line's got to really play big and get their hands up and bat some balls down too. But like containment, I'm not worried about. Yeah,
he can run. He's been doing a lot more of that this year, this season, because he's had to.
He'll do more tonight because of that line being in shambles.
Yeah, but they just gotta pay attention when they rush the ball, so he doesn't get scored out anywhere. They got to keep everything. They got to keep him in front of them when they rush,
right?
Because once they go past him, he's gone. And by that time the coverage is taking hold and everybody's downfield, and he may have like 15-yard stretch to run, and we don't want that, So
I mean, we saw that last year in the championship. When Aiden was getting mauled down by Kittle and whoever else was guarding him, nobody else answered the call, and Purdy was able to escape the pocket and make those extra plays that you don't want to see him make. Let's talk about, and I know B don't want to hear about it, but let's talk about what the offense has to do against this defense, because the defense is probably the healthiest they have. Outside of Ward, their defense in Greenlaw, I think Greenlaw's out too, right? Greenlaw's out?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're out Greenlaw and they're out Ward. But they still have Mafanga. They have
safety.
Warner. They have safeties.
They've got
some good players. They got Nick Bosa. So their defense is probably the healthiest out of their whole team. What does the Lions have to do on offense?
I want to see him run the ball. I want to see as soon as that San Francisco think that you're going to run the ball, that's when you hit the deep shot to J-Mo. That's when you get a shot to Sam Laporta. That's when you can hit Amon-Ra, first down, St. Brown. You know, I just want to see extended drives, man. I want to see big chunk plays. I don't want to see the small little churning out the yards and 4 or 5 yards. No, I want to see the big yards.
Hey, unless it's for an 80-yard touchdown on one play, I'm okay with that. Yeah. But I'm with you. Go ahead, B.
I don't have anything. I mean, the offense just beat offense. I think they're going to. I think though, Jay, they are going to pass more because they do realize there's a significant part of that running game that's missing. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs did a good ass job last week, getting 109 yards. So he did, and he got a touchdown too, right? So he played pretty well in that game. But I really do think that they, you guys always in the chat are talking about run the ball. No, that's not how you can't run the ball every time, because that's when you only have a one head of the two-headed monster, they're keying on that then. And that's what a lot of teams, that's how we've been having these close games, because these teams are keying on that run. Because that's
a great point. You're absolutely right. That's a great point.
That's what they have to do they figure that's what they have to do to stop the Lions, is key on that run. If you notice, Buffalo did that really well in the first half.
The Packers did that well against us.
The Packers did good well in the first half too. So
even Chicago at some points did that. Yeah.
You gotta now the Lions really have to try to set up the run by passing. And I think that's the reason why they've been passing so much. I think they had more of a pass curve than they've had previous games, where the pass percentage is more than the run percentage. So I can see where Ben's trying to do that. And sometimes everything's not going to work. And it's funny, because when you have a high-powered offense like the Lions, you expect everything to work. Everything ain't going to work, guys. It ain't going to work.
No.
Sometimes
there's going to be some hiccups. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to remember there's a defense out there. They might actually make a play, or the run, the simplicity of the offense they have. They're just not going to be able to do all the things that they want to do. Like the little trick play at the end, that was cute. You can do that. That's how you have a high-powered offense, when you can do stupid shit like that and get away with it and get a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that was crazy, man. That was crazy. I want to highlight one thing Jay did say that I do agree with you. You talk about extending the plays, long drives. The offense is going to have to be our best defense. Mm-hmm. Like, as simple as that. Like I think B said it best. The defense is going to be good for maybe 2 or 3 stops, 2 or 3 crucial stops in the game. And if they get turnovers, that's an even added bonus. But the offense is going to have to be on point almost every drive possession, because this offense cannot stumble. They just can't. No. Because the defense is not healthy enough to withstand having to hold these high-powered offenses, which you're going to be facing going forward, very long. So the offense has done a really good job. The Chicago game is a perfect example. Long drives, but getting touchdowns. I know Lion fans don't want to hear this, but this is where 4th downs are going to become more prevalent with Dan. So just get ready. Mm-hmm. Because he's going to trust his defense. He's going to trust his offense with the ball in their hands to get touchdowns and not field goals. Unless the field goal is absolutely needed, I think Dan will bite his tongue and kick the field goal. But he's going to put the ball in Goff's hands. Shit you not. It's going to happen. So we just got to get used to it.
It's funny you mentioned the 4th downs real quick about the Green Bay Minnesota game, and LaFluckery decided to go for it 2 times on the 4th down. Yeah. And somebody says, "Oh, he was trying to bring out his inner Dan Campbell." I said, "Yeah, but Dan Campbell would have actually made those 4th downs."
Yeah, Dan gets them.
Those 4th downs were there was no creativity in those 4th downs that he ran. No.
You know what's hilarious is that I watching football lately. Everybody's got the Dan Campbell philosophy.
Listen, they don't go for it.
Scheme.
Remember 2 weeks ago when we were talking about 3 weeks ago when we were talking about the Green Bay Packers and why did Dan Campbell go for it on fourth down? Because we got those players that can actually get these yards, get these touchdowns on these fourth down plays. They don't have those types of players over in Green Bay. They don't have a Penei Sewell over there. They don't have a Frank Ragnow over there. You understand?
They don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
They don't have
first down Brown.
Yeah. That's why when Dan Campbell make these fourth down calls, he gets it more than 70% of the time because he have an all-pro in these guys. He know where they're going to be at all time.
And here's another thing too, B. I'm gonna highlight when you build your foundation, and he has. Let's be honest. He's built his foundation on taking gambles and getting fourth downs. You get better at it because you practice it. Does that make sense? Just like the Lions, like Lion fan wants to know why the Lions are so good at these trick plays because they practice them. They literally have a part of their practice where they take practice in these plays and perfect them. Like when the Lions go for it on fourth down, they don't just do it to pull out of their ass. They practice those situations in practice. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It works most of the time because when you practice well, you play well, right?
Yep. You practice how you play.
Exactly.
I
promise you right now, a lot of these teams do not practice fourth downs as much as we do because they don't go for as much as we do. You know, when you go for it, that's just built into your DNA, right?
Seriously, though, I mean, I agree with you on that. Totally.
Yeah, I think nothing with this Lions team is surprising. The trick plays, the way they go for it on fourth down, the conversion rates. This team believes a lot in either stopping the other team on third down or getting the first down on offense. And I know that sounds funny because every team will say the same thing, but this team really emphasizes it a lot because if you hear the pressers, what are we working today? We're working fourth down situations. What are we working today? We're working first down situations. We're working goal line situations. Like they have in their practice this built in. And when you do it every practice, you're going to be good at it. And it helps that you have good players too. Let's just be honest. And you got a quarterback that can execute the plays like Goff does, you know?
I think another thing the Lions need to do with this game is do better in their red zone defense.
Yeah.
Because that's their third down defense has been pretty stellar. They're still number one in third down defense, but as far as their red zone, they fell off a big lot.
Yeah.
From where they used to. They were number one. Now they're not. I think they're like 5 or 6 now, maybe even 7.
And that's going to be huge going forward because when you play in the playoffs, you play better teams, better quarterbacks, better offensive weapons, and your defense has to be better in the red zone. I'm glad you said that. That's very true.
Yeah, they definitely got to improve in their red zone defense because they're playing. So you're getting ready to play, San Francisco. Still, they have some kind of offensive push. You got to make sure that they don't get down there and get scores in a 20. And then you got Minnesota coming up. You definitely can't let them. Although Minnesota's not the greatest red zone team because they have players that stretch the field and they can get touchdowns that way. But still, and you still got to stop them when it counts. Aaron Jones can Aaron Jones can run the ball in from forward 4 to 5 yards out. You don't want that. You got to have your defense be able to have that mentality. They got to stop people when they get into that zone. They don't have that mentality right now. What do you think? What do you think the reason is our defense has been struggling in the red zone? Is it more because of the injuries, of the personnel, or do you think it's more of just the fact we're not making plays? I think it's because of the injuries. When you don't have everybody running on the same page, because they're new or they don't play, they're not starter type players. That tends to happen. But now that they're getting more sedimentary as far as the defense is concerned, these players now that are backups are playing as starters. They need to get that now. Now it's time to form that line and say, hey, now you know what's going on out here in the field.
Yeah, and these new guys are now been in this team for about 3 to 4 weeks. So now it's starting to click now. Okay, this is what AG wants to do. This is where he wants me to be. Like I can think of that play where Zeke Turner was covering Kmet and he missed it. He missed Kmet and Kmet got the touchdown. That was like the only touchdown in the red zone I think the Bears scored. But that's a perfect example. Alex is out there, Barnes is out there, somebody else is out there, probably doesn't give that up. Mm-hmm. But Zeke Turner didn't know where it was going. I'm not saying Zeke Turner's a scrub or anything. I don't know the guy, whatever. But he looked lost. He looked like he didn't know where the play was going, and that's just lack of inexperience that you deal with, you know. So, yeah, I agree with you. That's a great point. I think for me the biggest problem in the red zone has been the red zone defense. The run defense. When you allow 3 to 4 to 5 yards a clip, it's only about maybe 10 yards to the goal line. So you're giving up half the yards. You know, the odds are when you put a team right around the 1 or 2, they're going to score a touchdown. You know, it's just given because you just have a couple of inches to get into the end zone. You know what I'm saying? Unless a team's stupid enough to throw from the goal line, which, sorry, Seattle, happens. You know, but you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why I say run, because I'm a true believer that if you're in the red zone, you run the football. You run the football. Because when you throw the ball in the red zone, shit happens. You get things picked, balls get tipped, crazy stuff happens. You run the football.
Just remember this, though. The Lions had that mentality in Chicago when Jahmyr Gibbs got his touchdown. He ran 3 straight times. Mm-hmm. They ran 4. Didn't they go 4 on 4th down and get the touchdown? Is that how they got the touchdown when they went 4 on 4th down?
I think they got the 4th down. Yeah, you're right.
But he was on the 2-yard line and still couldn't get in. That's because he's not. This is where I'm saying Montgomery is a key for our team to get back, because he's the one that'll put that ball over that goal line. He is that guy that's going to run everybody down. My God, just put a bigger back. They don't have a really bigger back that's going to do anything. Who they got? Vaki is about the biggest back besides Montgomery. Jefferson's not that big.
Jefferson is a big boy.
He's a big boy. He's about 220, I think. Yeah.
He got power too.
But
I don't trust him. I don't trust him.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, B. I totally understand.
So that's why they got to pass. Yeah. That's why they do pass plays. That's why they do short passes. Yeah. You can't always be predictable like that when you're in the red zone. You can't do that. And Ben Johnson would be the first one to tell you that. So no, hell no. He's gotten touchdowns when they're on a 2-yard line passing.
What is Amon doing?
Like gadget players, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
then this is what I would do. I would run first down, throw second, and 3rd and 4th run. That's me.
Like I said, the course of the game is whatever the defense is dictating to you as well. That's why you have play call changes in the huddle. That's why Goff is allowed to do that, because if he sees something, he'll just kill, and go to a different play.
But we rarely see Goff throw that close to the goal line. Maybe he'll throw from like the 10 to back, but I rarely ever see him throw like around the 1 or 2.
He's done it a few times in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
You remember we have what's his name? The Patrick. He done that to Patrick. He had a zip pass to Patrick.
Were they that close? I thought
they were close. They were within the 5. They were within the 5. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a higher percentage to run the ball in the red zone rather than throw the ball. But I get what you're saying. You know, the thing is that with the Lions, their line is so good that I expect them to win almost every time. Very rare are you going to see the Lions getting stuffed at the goal line like they were in Chicago. I mean, give Chicago credit. They did a good job, but at the end of the day, we still got the touchdown. So it didn't really matter. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Big. Yeah.
And you got to remember something, too. The last time we played Chicago, they had the number 1 red zone defense. Mm-hmm. And, you know, percentage-wise. So I didn't see that's one thing about Chicago I haven't seen go down in any of their games. They have been pretty good in the red zone. It's just the rest of their defense is failing at life. So it's weird with them.
It's the break the bend situation. Like they bend a lot, but they don't break when they get to the goal line, which is good because even if your defense sucks between the 20s, you know, if you can hold your water at the goal line and you don't give them up touchdowns, that's huge.
Well, and that's what it's all set up as. That's why AG knew this coming into this season, that the defensive line is not going to get a lot of sacks. Aiden Hutchinson would be the only guy that would get the sacks. Right. So he knows there was going to be a lot of pressure. But what he said, he built a defense to work, the red zone. Red zone defense, high percentage. Third down defense, high percentage. If you can do those two things on defense, you basically can win games. You can give up 500 yards and still win a game because you stop them in the red zone and you stop them on third down. So
yeah, and scoring defense, that's the point we're saying is like scoring defense. The Lions are still one of the top scoring defenses. I think they're top 5, right? Yeah, they really haven't moved very much.
Yeah, I think they are.
Because really Buffalo, they gave up the most points, but it's Buffalo, dude. MVP is Josh Allen, more likely. So that was going to happen, and honestly, Darnold probably is going to score a lot of points on us too, because it's a high-powered offense. Just shit happens, The main thing is, can we get pressure and can we get turnovers? That's really what the defense has to do, is getting the turnovers and pressure. If we can do that, that's where success is. What's up?
We're 7th in
okay, so we dropped a little bit. I think we were like
because of the red zone. The red zone is the reason why.
Sure.
But we're still first and third downs, and then we went down again a little bit. We're 31.7 on third down conversions defensively.
Pair that
that's
up with
huge.
For an offense.
Considering the fact of all the crap that we've had to replace players and get players at 31.7% on a third down and being first in the NFL. This is not just NFC. This is the NFL. So obviously they're doing something right, and this is the reason why the Lions are winning their games. And they might be
that's going to be huge going forward, because if you can stop teams from scoring in the red zone, and you're scoring touchdowns in the red zone at a high level, we'll do the math.
And that's what they were doing at the big, until they got these rash of injuries. This is what they were doing. Yeah. This is why they were blowing out teams, because they would stop them from scoring in the red zone. They wouldn't even let them get to the red zone half the time because they'd stop them on third down. But then when you add in the red zone, you're basically taking their whole offense out. Mm-hmm. So they did. Who was the team that got all those? Jacksonville. Jacksonville got all those damn yards. Well, it was Jackson. No, it was Tennessee that got all them yards. But how many points did they score? 6. There you go.
Yeah, and they got all those yards early in the game. Mm-hmm. By the time the Lions tied it up, they got their ass whooped. It was game over. So that's just what the Lions were playing with their food too much there. They knew I was at that game. They should have whooped the shit out of them right off the bat, but it took a while for them to get going. But when they did, they unleashed hell. Let's talk about any concerns going for this game at all for you?
Yeah.
Knowing what we know and everything and what's in front of us. Any concerns?
I have one concern, and it's injuries.
Well,
I just want everybody to stay healthy, play a clean game, and let's focus on Minnesota. That's my one biggest problem, my biggest concern.
Yeah. It's been a thing all year, no doubt.
Biggest concern.
That's a concern every game. Injuries.
Yeah. Sure.
The concern is, I know that to me, it's just a light concern. I think with everything that's going on, they already have the Minnesota Lions game in most of the NFL anything. They were talking about that on a pregame show.
Yeah, nobody cares about this game. It's hilarious.
They don't care about it. It's like you're passing over this game. But this is what the correlation with the Lions players has to be. They can't be thinking about Minnesota. They got to be thinking about beating this team. And as much noise is coming through from, it's like Sanford, this game doesn't even exist right now.
I don't think Dan's has them thinking that. Dan will not.
I want to believe that, but everybody is human. You know what I'm saying? And stuff can get through certain
social
pipelines.
media, all that. Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, and everybody's saying, well, this is going to come down to this, and we're going to have two teams that are going to be 14 and blah, and this is the first time in the NFL history this has happened, and it's going to suck because one team's going to have to be a 5th seed, and the other team's going to win a division and the number 1 seed. It's a whole bunch of other things going on. So, and you just gotta. It's just they just got to make sure
play the game. You got to show up. You got to show up and play the game.
You got to be focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question: if last year did not happen, okay, if we did not lose in the championship, would the mentality, would you what you said right now? Would you even like have any concern with that?
Well, if they got into that means they would have gotten to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So and depending on what the outcome of that Super Bowl was, I would say the mentality would be a little bit different, because once you get into the Super Bowl, which the Lions have never done, I mean, they got into championships, they never got into a Super Bowl in a Super Bowl era. So when it's called a Super Bowl, put it that way. So if they won the Super Bowl, I think this would be a completely different outlook that the Lions would have. I don't even think they would be in a position that they would be, because once you get to the Super Bowl, it is very hard to be hungry the next season to get another Super Bowl. I'm not saying it can't be done. Obviously, Kansas City's done it twice. Denver's done it twice. You know, a few teams have done it twice. Pittsburgh's done it twice. But those are franchises that have been, you know, last.
Let me ask the question again, because I don't know if I worded it the right way. So, you know, we talk about this matchup because I don't care what any player says. They want to win this game. They had a bad taste in their mouth, and they want to hit him in the face. Like, look at what happened in Dallas. They all said, they all played it down. Oh, we didn't care. It's just another game. No, they care.
Beat their ass. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, if they had won that game, no, it wouldn't be a big game. This wouldn't be a big game. It would actually be what the NFL is looking at now. It's like, there would be more reason for letdown in this game if that didn't happen last year. But since it did happen last year, they have enough motivation to whoop their ass and stay focused. Yep. And if there's one thing about Dan that I will say that I love about him, is he has a heartbeat on this team. He knows what buttons to push and how to keep this team motivated. And I promise you, he probably showed them the game from last year just to piss them off and say, look, guys, this is how close we were last year. Make them pay, and we're right there on the doorstep of getting to where we want to get to. Because that's what motivators do, right? It's like I think we talked about it. You know, when you play in the NBA, not everybody's going to get up for 82 games, right? You're only going to get up for the games that matter, or the games that you want to play really well against. The great coaches will find ways to motivate you even in those games. And Dan is that type of guy. Like, I guarantee you a lot of people are like talking about Minnesota, just like everybody else is talking about Minnesota. Like, it's almost like we won this game already and it's just on to Minnesota, you know? And so I guarantee you Dan's like, do not forget what's in front of you. Remember last year, and I could see him showing that damn game, going all the way to San Francisco, making them watch it and say, remember what happened. Don't forget. Even though the Niners are out, they're banged up, who gives a fuck? Remember what happened and keep that in your heads and beat the shit out of them, and then on to Minnesota. You know, because that's the kind of guy Dan is. That's the kind of guy Dan is. Like, he is the ultimate motivator. Like, he'll find ways to motivate for anything. Like, it could be a JV game, and he'll find a way to motivate your ass to beat a JV team. He don't care. I think that was brought up in the very first presser he had leading up to the game. This game, he came out immedially and said, "We're bringing everything to San Francisco."
Exactly.
And when he said, that's just a sentence that that tells you everything you need to know right there.
Yeah.
And if he instills that belief in his team, then they're going to go in there and handle their business.
Because he knew those questions were going to come. Are you going to rest your starters? This game means nothing to you. if whatever.
No, that was this. I'm talking about.
You're talking about the first.
He said that before. He even said that before
right.
Minnesota beat Green Bay. That was something he said even before that. So
exactly.
He knows what he's got to do. And this was like I'm talking about the last Monday presser starting this week before they had all the games. So he made it abundantly clear that they're bringing everything to San Francisco. That was the first thing he said straight up. So
and also too with this team, everything is on confidence. Like when they're on point and they're confident and they know they can beat the best, they're going to go be the best, and this team, this era of Lions football, we don't lose a lot. Okay. And that's what championship teams do. If they take one on the chin, they bounce back the next week. And that's what we did against Chicago. I promise you, with today's happening and next week, nothing's going to get in the way of this team. Nothing. To have the game, to have the everything being determined in your house in front of your people, I think that's the way they wanted it. It's crazy that sounds. I think that they didn't want to clinch this with Green Bay and being on the road. They want to do this in front of the Lions fans.
Yep.
They want Ford Field fucking rocking to not only NFC North division champions, but the number one team in the NFC. Like they want all the smoke in Detroit. They want it all.
Jordan Addison, I don't know if anybody caught that, but he's like, "Oh, show up, show out."
I heard about that.
You know that you're coming to Detroit. No other fan base shows up like Detroit, right?
Oh yeah, and Alex put out I think it put out a tweet saying, "Oh yeah, Lions fans, they will."
He's crazy.
Yeah.
And see, that's the focus I don't need them to be having. I don't need them to be having. Worry about what Jordan Addison says. Fuck him. We ain't worried about you right now. Yeah. Right now, we're worried about the 49ers.
Exactly.
Kiss my ass. So don't respond to shit like that when you gotta focus on another team. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's the focus I'm talking about.
And I'm glad. And it was Alex that did it because Alex isn't playing right now. So right. You could say that. Nobody else came out and said that because they're focused on San Francisco. And just how you said it right there. Yeah, exactly. And just how you said it right there is exactly probably how Dan said it. Probably with more F words. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, let's get to the predictions. Give me your prediction. Give me your offensive MVP and defensive MVP and bold take. Go.
Offensive MVP, defensive MVP, and bold take.
And prediction.
And score. Okay. So my offensive MVP is going to be Sam Laporta. I think he's going to have a crazy game today. I think they're going to get the ball to that man right there. I think
he's going against Kittle, man. So he's got a lot of motivation. That he goes to a Kittle's camp.
Who's the best Iowa tight end? Let's settle it right here.
Right.
Defensive MVP. Give me Brian Branch. I think Brian Branch going to show up today too. I think he's going to get a turnover. I think he's going to get a couple of pass deflections. He's going to be all over the field. Excuse me. Score prediction. Give me 33-15 Lions.
Okay. And bold take.
Bold take, I think.
Or prediction, whichever one. Bold prediction.
Okay. So my bold prediction, I think the Lions are going to come out with at least 4 sacks in this game.
Ooh, you said 6, so I'll take 4.
Yeah, I'm going to say 4.
Yeah, 4 is more realistic. 6 is a lot, dude. Not a lot of teams.
I was waiting for you, Jay. I was waiting for you to come out with that.
Unless you're the Bears, and you get sacked 6 times every game, not a lot of teams get 6 sacks. But I'll take 4.
This is the point I was trying to make to the 6 sacks comment because a lot of teams have gotten 6 or 7 sacks on him. Caleb, the fingernail guy, and we only got 2, so that tells you a lot right there. And we've had a pretty decent front line, so it's not the greatest, true, but that's the reason why I say pressures matter with the Lions.
Sure, yeah. Anyway, you can get a negative play on an offense, whether it's a pressure, whether it's a quarterback throwing off a platform in a different way and all that, or running. That works. It doesn't have to just be sacks or turnovers. Anything that's caused a negative way is considered, in my opinion, good. All right, B, go for it.
So I got 34-20, and I got DJ Reader, my MVP of the defense.
Love it.
And offensively, Tim Patrick, I think, is going to have a good game. I don't think they have anybody that can cover him right now on San Francisco. So he should be getting loose. And the overzealous one, I would say that Kirby gets 2 interceptions.
Woo! I like it. It's been a minute since he's got some picks, man. Let's break that.
Him and McKinney have been deadlocked. I want to see that disappear. I want him to own that damn record right now.
Yeah, you must have ESP or something, B, because that's exactly what I was going to say about Kirby. Good job. All right. So I'm going to say, all right. So the last game that we played, that was a revenge in a sense. We played the Cowboys, and we put up 47 points on them in their house.
Mm-hmm.
This game, we lost last year in the championship. We're 30 minutes away from a Super Bowl. We're going to put up 50 on them tonight.
Ooh,
it's going to be 50-14. I'm going to give them 14 points. It's going to get ugly. I really do think. I think this team's out for blood, and they don't give a fuck about the Vikings right now. They just care about whooping the shit out of the Niners and putting the NFL on notice that we're ready. It's coming. Just batten down the hatches. Offensive MVP, I'm going with St. Brown, man. I think St. Brown has a hell of a game. I really do. I think this is like 100 yards, couple of tugs, probably over 10 catches. I think that's actually another day at the office for him, but I think St. Brown has a good game because Charvarius Ward's out. So St. Brown's going to eat. Defensive, I'm gonna go Kirby too. Yeah, I think Kirby gets a pick. I don't know if he gets 2. 2 would be awesome, but I think he gets a pick. I think he's been due for one, and he's been close in a couple. So I think he gets a pick for sure. And my bold take, and I'm not gonna say Terry Arnold gets a pick. That's dead.
Now watch him get a pick. You'll be like, damn it.
There you go. Reverse psychology. There you go. My bold take is that, let's see. Let me think of a good one here. Jahmyr Gibbs throws a touchdown.
He throws a touchdown.
Yep. Ben's gonna pull another fake play, and yeah, Jahmyr's gonna throw it. And we saw Monty do it, but he didn't execute it. Yeah.
No, Monty didn't execute it. What are you talking about? Monty executed it.
Oh yeah, he did.
He threw a perfect pass. That pass was almost better than one Goff throws. That dude had a streamline.
Wait, who did Monty throw to? I forgot. I know. St. Brown threw to Goff.
I think it was to somebody. Who the hell was it?
So that's what I was thinking.
No, it wasn't an offensive lineman. It was a receiver, but I'm trying to remember.
No. What I was thinking that didn't work out was the Panay Sewell one. Yeah, right.
He took the sack.
Did he do it to Patrick? Was he threw it to Patrick?
No, I don't think he threw it to Patrick. That Patrick wasn't. That was just before Patrick got. Well, he was playing the game, but that's before Patrick had the breakout game. I think it was either. It might have been to Amon or to.
Maybe it was St. Brown.
J-Mo?
Damn it! I don't think it was J-Mo.
J-Mo
hasn't gotten really any touchdowns in the red zone. He just.
Or it could have been. It was to Laporta.
Okay.
Laporta got the touchdown.
Yeah, Laporta's been a lot of the beneficiary of a lot of touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah,
which he should be.
But that was a pretty pass. That pass was beautiful.
Yeah, because he was a former quarterback. That's right. He was a former quarterback in high school, I think is what they said. So
we don't have to worry about too much of a quarterback. If our quarterbacks get hurt, we got Monty back there throwing some dimes.
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there, sir. We need Goff. We need Jared. Did y'all see the video of the guy that got Jared Goff as a present?
The big poster.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was dope.
I have never seen maybe I'm wrong, but I have never seen a quarterback get so much popularity that really says nothing. Isn't that insane? Have you ever seen a quarterback get so much popularity anywhere, all over the world? Weddings, whatever you want to, bar mitzvahs, whatever the fuck. Jared Goff just
games.
Red, yeah. Well, I mean, that's in Detroit, but yeah, like I mean, even like in an overseas or something like that, this guy just gets the love and says nothing. He just goes about his business. I've never seen that.
It's Jared Goff, man.
That's crazy.
Everybody's a Jared Goff fan.
I know, right? It just sticks. It just sticks. But all right, guys. Well, that's gonna wrap the show. We got about 10 minutes till the game starts. Let's get it done, boys. Let's get it done. 14-2. Shut the Vikings up next week. Get that 1 seed. Get some much needed rest. And
let's
then
just get through this game. And then we can talk shit about the Vikings. Let's just get through this game, and then we can talk shit about the Vikings.
Thank you, Dan Campbell. Thank you.
Once we get by this game, believe you me, I am going to be starting to talk shit about the Vikings because they're getting on my damn nerves.
Yeah,
talking about their why everybody paying attention to the Vikings? The Vikings are a good team. You got beat by us. You got beat by the Rams. Shut the fuck up and go home.
Yep.
I love
it. Asses.
Yeah. On that note, actually, thank you for that segue, B. Our show will be back on Sunday at 11:30 Eastern Time. And yes, we will be talking about those sorry-ass Vikings coming into the Lions' den and going to leave with a blue.
We may have a guest for that too. I might bring Mike back on here again. He's gonna
I forgot. Yeah.
He's gonna be a little bit more because he's been a little bit more up there because the Vikings are doing. Shut up, Mike.
Yes, please bring him on. We want to eviscerate him on the show because nothing annoys me.
Do it to somebody. Look,
nothing annoys me more than a Viking fan right now because it's so funny because this will be our last point and then I'll wrap it up. And you guys can agree with me or disagree with me on this with the Vikings. The Vikings have been a great story this year, no doubt. Nobody saw them winning 14 games this season, especially with who they had on their roster and who they had at quarterback. We can all agree on that. Yeah. However, is it sustainable going forward? Because if you look at Sam Darnold is going to be a starting quarterback somewhere. Like I saw Colin Cowherd talk on it, do a video today saying that Darnold's price just went up to $50 million, which I agree. Like that he's going to demand a lot of money, and the Vikings either going to have to pay it or they have to move off of him. And either way, it could be costly because if they move off of him, they're going to regress with JJ because he's a rookie. It just happens that way, right? You can't just take a guy like Sam Darnold and put JJ McCarthy into the mix and then expect the same results right off the bat. It's going to take time. Ask Caleb Williams.
Well, I mean, look at this. There's a good point made today on one of the sports shows. They said that, they could sign Darnold for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. You got to remember, JJ's coming off of some serious surgery and a surgery he had to go back and get again.
Sure.
So let him sit back behind a veteran quarterback for a couple of years. I mean, that's the way it should be. And the problem with the NFL is they try to bring these rookies in here and have them start immediately, and they're not ready for that yet. Exactly. Some of them are not ready for the NFL.
I agree.
I don't think Minnesota is going to let that happen. I think they're going to force JJ McCarthy in right away.
Or Daniel Jones. They have Daniel Jones on there too.
But
here's the thing.
Jones is garbage.
Yeah.
Hooker's better than Daniel Jones right now.
Here's the thing. Here's my rebuttal to what you just said. Darnold is how old? He's like
28,
right?
28, 29, something. Yeah, he's in his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
I thought it was like 27 or 28. Okay.
Yeah, he's
so he's still in his he still has his prime.
He's in his good years and he's about to hit his good years.
I don't see him taking a couple-year deal. I think he wants a long-term deal because he's been a journeyman for the longest time. He wants that security. He wants that long-term deal. And
he ain't gonna get that with no team. He's still ain't going to get that with no team.
He
can get a 4-year deal with maybe a player option in a third.
No, he ain't going to get that.
4-year.
He has to go somewhere on a 1 year and do it all over again.
Things that you got to look. The things that you got to look at Darnold. First of all, he plays on a team with a hell of an offensive situation. Yeah. He's got the best receiver in the league.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And then he's got a great running game as long as Aaron Jones stays healthy. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got Hockenson is one of the tight ends he throws to. He's also got, the other receiver that's there. And Naylor is a good receiver. I mean, but their offensive line gets a little bit better.
And I know where you're going with this. And I know where you're going with this. But my thing is that there is a lot of hungry teams out there that will give him 4 years. I promise you. That if they will see, they've seen enough that they will give him a long-term deal. I promise you. But we'll see.
I also think that if you want to stay with a good team, I think everybody's talking about other teams. There's players that have. Amik Robinson is a very good case. Amik Robinson was approached by San Francisco to play on their team, and with a significantly more money than Detroit was offering. But you want to know what? He came to Detroit because he wanted to be here. And Darnold will be the same way because Arnold has got his offense set. His offense around him is set. All these are young players that are on his team. Except for Aaron Jones. But still, he's a veteran running back. You need veteran running back. And the offensive line is coming around. And the defense is going to eventually get better, too, once they get everybody healthy.
It would make sense. It would make sense for him to stay with Minnesota because the fact is that you're right. They have a good offense. They have a young defense. The team's going to be good, no doubt, for sure. The question is, money talks. And he's never really got a big contract. And he sees all these quarterbacks set in the market. He wants a part of that piece. That's the only thing. So we'll see.
Well, if he does that, then he's a sucky ass quarterback because then he's going to be going to a situation that's sorry for him. I'm serious.
That's the reality.
What you're doing is that means you're playing for the money. You're not playing for a championship.
Breaking news: what player doesn't play for money nowadays?
There's a lot of players that don't play for money nowadays.
True.
Tom Brady made a fucking career out of it.
Go with the money too.
Tom Brady made a career out of it. He wasn't the highest paid quarterback. Yeah. Well, this is true, but still, there's players out there that could do that. I bet you if Aiden Hutchinson gets to the end of his point where they have to pay him, he's going to stay with Detroit.
I hope he does. God.
And somebody could throw him a hell of a bone to play somewhere else. Yeah. That's what happens in the NFL.
The main thing I want the point I was trying to make with Minnesota is that they're a good story, but they have a lot of question marks, kind of like we did going into the offseason. Was Goff going to get re-signed? What was going to happen with some of our big players? They don't have the big players that need to resign, but they have key players that are going to want to resign or need to resign that they need to keep in order to keep the team intact. So we'll see. We'll see what happens and go from there. But
Super
all right,
Bowl
guys.
Everything.
Yeah, that's it. For us, not them. But all right, Buzz. It was great talking to y'all.
Yes,
Go
sir.
Lions. Let's have a great game. As always, fuck the Whackers. Fuck the Queens. Bears just fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And go Lions.
There you go.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy.
You too.
All right, have a good one.
All right.
We some lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening.